Kuyakam si wanga akta Pangaanga Pangawyi wanga adaka aganaterma naka Kirstenua Pass. I come from St. Lawrence Island. I'm going to give a little bit of a history of my island and where I come from and why it makes me an expert in geoengineering. In the 1800s, European whalers came and decimated the whale population to get the oil and the baleen from whales. At the same time, Krakatoa erupted, which caused a plume that was so great that Alaska experienced 2 straight years of winter. This caused a great famine on my island and wiped out 99% of our population. When the whales died, we died. We were very closely tied to our animal relatives and to our ecosystem. We were also injected with radioactive iodine to see if human beings survived longer in the cold, and our beautiful island was used as a dumping ground for fuel, heavy metal solvents by the military. These forever chemicals bioaccumulated in our animal relatives, and as they become sicker, we become sicker as well. Our island is located in one of 2 thoroughways to the north, the world's toxics. 4 from the fossil fuel industries and their byproducts travel through our island through wind and water currents because toxics are attracted to the north. And so I carry this history with me into my work with geoengineering, and I have studied and organized against geoengineering for about 3 years.
¿Podrías explicarle al tribunal cuáles son los impactos más relevantes en relación a los ecosistemas, la naturaleza y por supuesto en relación a las comunidades, como lo has mencionado?
So before I present the cases and their impacts, I want to give a little brief overview of geoengineering technologies because a lot of people may not be familiar with it. So these so-called technologies are theoretical techno-fixes aimed at altering Earth systems in order to combat the symptoms of climate change. The idea of trying to alter Earth systems in a controlled manner is a violation of the sacred. Everything lives in balance in relationship to each other. Trying to control or alter their balance violates the sacred relationships and sacred balance of Mother Earth, Father Sky, and now even Grandmother Moon. Generally, these technologies are placed into larger categories. One of them is called solar radiation management or solar radiation mitigation. This would include stratospheric aerosol injection, where they're trying to inject millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere to block out the sun. Surface albedo modification, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Cloud brightening, space mirrors, you name it. There's also carbon dioxide removal, which includes carbon capture and storage, carbon capture utilization and storage, bioenergy carbon capture and storage, enhanced weathering, direct air capture. Sometimes they use marine geoengineering, which would include ocean fertilization, a form of carbon dioxide removal, marine cloud brightening, and enhanced weathering. And they also use Arctic ice management as a category, which is what I'll talk about today. This includes ice thickening techniques via surface albedo modification, and then ice thickening methods such as water pumps. The living Arctic is a complex system made up of several interdependent living systems. The freeze and melt cycle of the ice is a vital part of that system. The living system within the ice depends on sunlight and the freeze and melt cycle in order to continue creating algae and to sustain smaller life forms which are interdependent within larger life forms. It is our role to follow and protect our original instructions which allow balance and respect of these living systems. So the case studies I'm going to talk about are Arctic ice management and also carbon capture and storage technologies. The first project is Arctic Ice Project, or Ice 911, where the intention is to spread millions of tons of silica hollow glass microspheres onto the surface of the Arctic ice. This was tested in Utqiagvik without the free, prior, and informed consent of the indigenous peoples, and without an environmental impact statement. Leslie Field patented this technique in her decades working with Chevron, HP, and 3M. All of the materials are sourced from 3M. Hollow glass microspheres are a byproduct of coal. Silica can cause kidney disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and silicosis. This will impact the bodies and behaviors of all living beings related to the ice. The winds in the Arctic ensure these microspheres will not stay where intended, and when the microspheres are broken, it is assumed they will fall to the ocean floor. This is the supposed cleanup method for this technology. Real Ice is another project, and this would place green hydrogen-powered water pumps on the Arctic ice in order to thicken it. This was tested in Nome without the knowledge of local indigenous tribes. When asked about why they didn't consult us, they claimed this would be a lot of work. And they insultingly asked about the indigenous peoples. Don't they know about climate change? Don't they want to do something about it? A simple conversation with my uncles would tell you that this is not only something that would disturb marine mammals, but would cause harm to the delicate life cycle within the ice itself. The Arctic blue cod lay their eggs on the bottom of the ice, and the algae growth under the ice. There is a reason these life forms are where they are. Our inherent relationship with the ice is what sustains its balance, and not including us in discussions about addressing climate change is not only a form of disrespect, it is reckless and foolish. And now the governor of Alaska has passed a law to allow the use of public lands and also indigenous lands for the use of carbon capture and storage. So this is a technology that supposedly sucks out carbon at the source, condenses it into liquid form, and transfers it to a site for sequestration. Carbon is extremely corrosive. It only takes a little bit of moisture to eat away at whatever container it's supposed to be sequestered in. And when it comes out, it turns into a gas, carbon monoxide. One such occurrence happened in Mississippi in August 2021, and the people in the area continue to experience health impacts, but the impacts on nature has not been assessed. The general issues with these and the thousands of other tests we have managed to identify, even a small scale, can cause harm to local ecosystems. In places like the US and Canada, places like the Global South, projects like these placed on or near indigenous territories include building man camps, which increases the rates of domestic violence and missing and murdered indigenous peoples. And of course, technologies that lead to carbon credits mean that the fossil fuel companies increase their caps and governments meet net zero targets, while rights violations by fossil fuel industry continue. The use of carbon market, cap and trade, and all of these does not reduce emission at source. Many of these projects rely on the use of offsets and market-based mechanisms to generate revenues for their projects, such as Real Ice and also Make Sunsets. We know that this is not only a land grab, but an ocean grab, using land and now animal relatives such as whales as carbon offsets allows fossil fuel companies to escape accountability and continues the legacy of colonialism and extraction. So I did have a few asks, and I'll end with that, if that's okay. Do I have time for the asks? Yeah. So hold accountable universities and private funders who allow these projects to move forward without the free, prior, and informed consent